Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the 107 podcast with myself, Jacob, and my co host, Ash. It is the end of day 2 of testing now, and both of us have now had the chance to have a look at all of the cars on track. We've been able to see how they look in real life compared to the release renders and stuff like that. There are obviously some teeny tiny changes, and so now we are going to be rating the liveries. We have a tier maker ready to go, and we will essentially be slotting these cars into either S, as in like the best, A, B, C, and D tiers. Obviously, going from A being the best to D being the absolute worst. Although we might as well just rename that just the Alpine section. So, Ash, what is the first car that we're going to be rating?
Alpine.
Alpine. For me, that's going in D. I've seen it now on track, and it still just does not look great. They had such potential with that car, and yeah, not thrilled at all. What about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just carbon fiber.
Yeah.
Considering how nice the blue cars looked in previous seasons, and with the BWT sponsorship, they had the chance to have two liveries, the pink one and the blue one, and both cars look exactly the same. So
I tell you
very
what,
disappointing.
I don't actually know which one I've seen on track.
Oh, that's a very good point. Do you know
I
when they
don't know.
revealed it? When they revealed it in their not preseason
In their
livery
livery
video.
reveal, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like people look at it, it's like there's nothing different about
It's
it.
literally nothing different, honestly.
I believe it's the pink one because you know when they do the Alpine logo, it's in pink instead of blue. So I'm gonna go with it's the pink one, but like you said, it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. It's
Literally no. It's still not great.
No.
Anywho, next car up.
Next car up is the RB 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
Yes.
It is. We can't even say RB anymore because it'll get people confused.
The Red Bull. The Red Bull RB. For me, I'm chucking that in B tier. I think I'm going to chuck it in the top of B tier, though. And the reason for that is because it's the exact same as it's been for the last 300 years. It's got some problems for me. I think there are ways that they can make it better. Like, for example, there's too much yellow on the nose. I think if they broke that yellow up, maybe with like driver numbers, that could be potentially pretty good. Because I think the to see the driver numbers isn't exactly like the red to the dark blue that they have on the car. It doesn't contrast enough as if you were to have the red on top of the yellow. There's some other issues as well, and I feel like it's not as refreshing as it could have been. And so for me, B tier. What about you?
I agree, B tier. I like it. It's kind of grown on me throughout the years.
It's not bad.
But if you've seen what they've done with previous cars in preseason testing, they've had like the camo livery and the geometric livery.
Yeah.
Red Bull it's a marketing company. It's not an energy drinks company. And they could do so much with that car because everyone knows it's Red Bull. You can keep the Red Bull, similar to when they had the white one in 2021,
exactly,
which was just red and white. It looked stunning. And if anything, that would just increase more of your brand and more of the awareness. But yeah, I do like the idea. I mean, I like the yellow nose, and I do like the idea of having the numbers there. But do you know what would be really cool? Is if, you know how when certain teams, football teams, win win the league if they win the league, the Premier League, they get the gold badge.
A little gold badge. Yeah.
Can you imagine like the gold one? That would be pretty cool. Or just some gold on there as like constructors champions and drivers champions.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again it's similar to Alpine where it could have been better. It's just disappointing because I think Red Bull can do more.
Yeah.
And they're just, nope, this is our brand and we're sticking to it. And I was like, oh, okay then.
So, yeah, I understand the if it ain't broke, don't fix it type mentality, but still, like, you could have done something a bit more interesting.
And also the colours are red, yellow, and that satin navy or black or whatever it is. And a Red Bull can is silver and blue. So you can throw it, and
You can
they've got
play
the Red
around with
Bull
it.
Cola. They've got the different flavors of Red Bull. You can play around. You can try something new.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah.
especially since like the Toro Rosso is not the Toro Rosso anymore. They could have used that as sister branding. But yeah, I agree. B tier for me.
Yeah. It's yeah. Next up.
Next up is the Ferrari.
Ooh, yeah, for me, I really like this one. I think it looks amazing, but there are some details that they don't sit right with me. There are some of the, so if you look on the nose, there is a yellow line and a white line. And both of those, they're just facing the wrong direction. They're sort of like facing down towards the front of the car, and I feel like they should be turning back, right where the Richard Mille sponsorship is. That's the only thing that doesn't take it into S tier. It's just not quite right. It's not the best, and it's not quite right for me. Yeah, what about you, Ash?
Yeah, I agree. A tier. I like the fact that they've got white on there and yellow. That breaks it up a little bit, throws back to the heritage. And my favorite livery last year was a Vegas red and white livery. I thought the
Yes, yeah,
car
that was
looked
lovely.
epic and beautiful. Why it's on S tier is those goddamn wheels. If they just kept the wheels black, it would have just flowed. It looks very Lightning McQueen. It looks very stuck on. The red wheels just look horrible, kind of thing. I think maybe because in real life, when you see car wheels, they're usually mainly silver, occasionally black, but you never see a car with red wheels. And if they can do it, they don't very rarely do they pull it off well. So I'm kind of likening it to like everyday car wheels, and it just does not look right.
Yeah, I know what
So
you mean.
I'm hoping someone goes into the side of the wheels and rubs off the red paint, and it's just black throughout. And I'm like,
Well,
that'll look better.
you know how like with racing series where you get like the black rubber on the
Yeah,
other cars.
yep, absolutely.
Maybe that
Just
happens. Yeah,
um,
so A tier for me, and you said A tier as well.
I said A tier as well.
Nice, yeah. So same ratings for everything so far. What is up next?
Up next is one of your favorite teams, Haas.
Yes, yeah. I want to put it in B tier because I do quite like it. I do think it looks good, but I know I can't. I just know I can't. I think it has to go in C tier. It does look mean, but I think that yeah, it's not quite good enough to be B tier. I kind of preferred last year's, if I'm honest.
I just look at it and I think it looks better than last year. I like the fact that they've got more black in, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the team in general, which is interesting since they've had Gunther for the past few years. It's just very bland and boring.
Yeah,
If
I
that
know what
makes
you
sense.
mean. Yeah, I think
It's
that
just
Haas, like you said, Haas is another one of those companies where they could do something a bit wild. Yes, they obviously would have to stick with like red
yeah,
because that's the Haas color, but still they could do something ridiculous, but they don't. So yeah,
yeah. Like you
tis a
can
bit
keep the
boring.
colors, change up the pattern. It's just very, and I like it. Vanilla ice cream. It's just
Yeah,
it's nice, it's
it's
good,
nice. Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's a
All right, so yeah, C tier for me and C tier for you as well.
C tier as well.
C tier.
Yeah.
Anything? What's up next? Sorry, because are we going to have anything differing at this point? Like,
Well, we are because up next is the McLaren.
yes, I still quite like it, but I miss the blue.
I don't miss the blue. I think it
No,
looks a lot better without the blue.
yeah, no,
Uh,
I need the blue. Well, I don't
for
need it, but
me, it's C tier.
I'm gonna have to put it B. So you think it's just as good as the Haas?
I think it's just as good as it has. The reason why is like seeing it on track. I'm just not sold on majority orange. I think if they'd put chrome in there,
Yeah.
like chrome and orange, or just added
Yes.
more chrome in
Yeah.
there, that would have made it a lot better. And considering chrome is like a big sponsor for them, I also don't like the Google colored wheels.
I like
I
that, but
just
yeah.
again, I think they might have a chrome special livery later on in the season, similar to last year.
Yeah.
But I just Yeah, I'm not feeling it. It looks better than last year, but C tier for me.
Yeah, I think that like a bit of chrome around the nose could have been really cool as well. But yeah, it has to go B tier. It's not quite as good as the Ferrari, so I can't put it up in that tier. And I don't think it looks nicer than the Red Bull. If I'm honest, I think it's just
No,
missing something else.
I think the Red Bull looks nicer.
Red Bull looks nicer. Yeah. Next up.
Next up is the Mercedes
Yes. B tier.
C tier.
Why C? Hold on.
Yeah, C tier for me because I think it's just two different cars mashed together. I do not. I either go all silver or all black. That's it. It looks really nice from like the last 2/3, which is black, and I like the red Ineos that kind of blends into the black.
Yeah, I like that too.
But I still go with the conspiracy theory that it was originally black, and then Hamilton told Toto he was leaving. It's like, quick, let's spray some of the car silver.
They only had one spray paint can, and they sort of ran out
like,
towards
we
the end.
thought it was black. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like that mix of the black and the silver. I think if it was all black, the red Ineos looks good, and then maybe have the Patronus green going through it would have looked really cool.
Yeah, that could have looked really good.
I think it just looks like, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and it's not cohesive at all.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, for me, B. I think it's a bit nicer than you say. I quite like the transition from silver to black, and I also appreciate them still keeping the little red star on that as well. Obviously,
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
in memory of Nicky Lauda, who I believe it was yesterday. It was his birthday. Was he passed away yesterday as of recording?
It was his birthday yesterday.
Birthday, that was it. Yeah. So yeah. Next car.
Well, I hope so. I think it was his birthday. Let me just double check.
I think it was. I want to say birthday because a lot of Formula One teams.
Yeah, it was his birthday.
Yeah.
22nd
Okay. Cool.
of February.
Yeah. Cool.
So actually, his birthday is today.
Oh, is it today? I thought it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Well,
His birthday
there you
today,
go.
22nd of February.
I think he yeah.
Happy birthday, Nicky. And yeah, what a great man. Right. Next up, you're going to have to help me with this because I don't know how to say it. I think it's Visa, Cash App, RB, Carb, Hugo. No idea what it is.
We should just call the car Hugo.
The official RB name, but
The
we'll
Hugo.
call it V Carb.
Yes, the RB V Carb Hugo car. I'm going C. I don't like it.
I'm going C. I don't like it, but on track, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's just the red. The red doesn't work with the blue and the silver and the white. It's the wrong red.
It's a real mishmash of colors. And it reminds me of the I think it's 94 Rothman Williams. So I was like, okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah. It took a second to sink in. The 94 Rothman Williams. Yeah, it does remind me a little bit of that. Yeah,
I think it's 94. Could be 95. But if they'd replaced the white with silver, I think it would look better. I think it would have been better. But
yeah, I think you might be right. But it's still not. It's too. There's too much happening, and there's no cohesiveness.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because do you know what? Even if it was all blue, I think it would look nice.
All blue would also
look good. That blue is
quite
nice.
Yeah, the blue's good. Next up, then.
Next up, following on with the blue theme, we've got Williams.
I'm going to go B. I don't like it as much as the McLaren or the Red Bull, but I feel like it's nicer than the Mercedes.
I'm going to go B as well.
Okay.
I think it looks really slick. I think it's one of the few cars where having the black in there really makes it look very nice. The Duracell coloring is just genius.
Duracell is always top tier.
And I just love the fact that they loved Haas's new team principal so much they put his name on the side of the car.
It's like, for me, if you're Komatsu, the company, not the man, I would have sponsored Haas.
Yeah.
I just would. It's a match made in heaven, really.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's slick and clean, and it's B tier for me because it's not quite Ferrari level.
Yeah, it's not on the same level as Ferrari.
No.
No, not at all. Next up, we only
Next
have like
up,
2,
again-
3 left, don't we?
We have 2 left.
2 left.
Again, you're gonna have to help me with the name because I think it's Team Kick Sauber Steak.
We'll just go with Sauber. Sauber's easiest,
Sauber.
isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Sauber, I know you're not going to like this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to put mine in A tier.
A. That's embarrassing.
No,
That is
how dare you?
embarrassing.
I quite like it.
I could accept B or C, but A tier. You think
tier.
it's the same level as
tier.
a Ferrari?
Seen it on track. I think it
Get
looks
out.
quite good.
Get out now.
I think it looks quite good. I'm just going to go ahead and say I like it.
I think the car looks like it's got permanent Floviz paint on it, but not in the cool way where you see the Floviz, like the flow.
That could have been really cool as to how they designed the car. They just chucked Floviz on the front of it and then just see where it ends up. That would have been a pretty cool livery, to be honest with you.
I laugh if it actually is Floviz and there's just no aerodynamics on the car.
That's how they save weight. So what they've done is they've painted it with Floviz, and then during the first race, it will come off and therefore weigh less. Smart thinking.
I think it looks.
It's not as good as the Ferrari.
Design. I just don't like that green. It's just so loud and obnoxious.
But I like that. I like that it's a bit of a yobbo. It's a bit out there.
If you're watching on YouTube, I have like a lime green hoodie, which makes me a little bit hypocritical. But
it's
I'm
a different
green.
To be fair,
it's a different green. It's Alonso green. But yeah, I think it looks terrible. D tier for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just disagree then. But I'm pretty sure we're going to agree on this next one because the last one, I believe,
is another green car. Yeah, it's Aston Martin S tier.
S tier.
Nothing more needs to be said.
It's literally perfect.
It is. And considering they've got less green than last year, where they've taken the paint from, it's like I think it's on the top of the side pods. So when you look at the car side on, it still looks fully green. And that green is just, I mean, if I had the money to buy an Aston Martin, I would be like,
in that color, yeah.
I've got an AstonMartin.com and I'm like, Formula One Racing Green or whatever the color's called. And I'm like, stunning.
It's awesome. I also think that obviously this is the 3rd year of Aston Martin on the grid.
Because it was Seb and Lance, then Fernando.
Yeah. So I feel like although Red Bull have been using the same livery for years, I think that the difference is that like I haven't gotten tired of this one yet. It's still really nice and still quite refreshing and very classy.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's classy.
Could be one of those Ferrari ones where it's like because racing is British racing green, right? That's the color, and it's like, look, we'll always keep the green. We might tweak it because I think it's gone darker from when they first came Aston Martin, I think, or maybe lighter. Sorry, I think it's gone lighter.
Would you like to compare the color?
Yeah, I think it's gone slightly lighter.
Yeah, slightly lighter. Yes, it's a good comparison.
And they might hey, we'll mix up. We throw some white in there, or we'll throw pink, as you've seen earlier.
Well, I quite like the. It has like the JCB sponsoring as well with the yellow. I quite like that too. I don't know why. I just do.
But S tier. And look at the wheels. Look at the wheels.
Yeah.
There's no green on the wheels, is there?
No, true.
Exactly. There we go.
That does remind me. So we're obviously talking about this, and we should have kicked off this episode with this, but we did actually discuss these liveries with I Give an F1 over on their podcast. Apologies, ladies, for not mentioning that straight out the bat because I should have done. But we're authentic on this podcast, so we forget things. But with that in mind, if you haven't heard of them, go over and check them out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Instagram as well. Obviously, they're on Instagram. But TikTok, yes. But I think they're really focusing on YouTube at the moment as well, which is awesome. But go check them out. It's IGAF1. I Give an F1. But so we had them on last year, and so we now have gone on this year, and we're definitely going to have to do a bit more with them. But we discussed all of these and gave our opinions and rated them and stuff like that. So this podcast is off the back of that. So if you also fancy listening to us talk shit about all of the liveries, then go ahead and listen to Alison and Lynette over at I Give an F1. But Yeah. So, what was my original point? Because I just sort of plugged them and then completely forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about how amazing the Aston Martin looked.
Yes. Yeah. So the wheels on the Alpine, which is not the Aston Martin, the wheels on the Alpine, the front two are blue and the back two are pink, which I actually really appreciate.
That's pretty
And
cool.
it's just a nice
actually,
little touch, you know. Just is a nice touch. So I think they probably have the best wheel covers. However, the rest of the car not
Aston
very
Martin.
nice.
Aston Martin. I think Aston Martin, if I'm right, I have to bring up a picture. They have these like white arrow-shaped things.
Yes. No, didn't Williams have those at one point, or Sauber had them as well last
Someone
year?
has it.
Someone else had them last year, and it did look very cool, especially in slow speed corners.
Right. So the Aston definitely has it.
Yeah,
It looks like little spikes on it. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
I'll see if the Williams has it.
I just can't remember off the top of my head. But what we'll do is we will drop these tier lists on our Instagram. So, what have you found?
Oh, the Williams one looks really cool. It's like blue arrows.
Yes, yeah, they're pretty cool.
Chevrons. I think they're called chevrons.
Yes. But so we will drop these tier lists on Instagram. So if you want to see these, maybe even critique them yourselves, we will be chucking this up on Instagram, and you can either shout at us in the comments or not. It's completely up to you. Doesn't bother me. I know I'm right.
But yeah, I think bad news. I don't think they're on the 2024 car.
Damn it.
Either way,
But that's
don't
it.
go full
So-
color blocks on the wheels.
However, can I also say that the Aston Martin safety car for this year?
Yeah. Oh, the Vantage.
Oh, that thing is hot. That looks so good.
That looks amazing. I saw that. I watched the car
Incredible.
reveal, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Cool.
I know that obviously, like the Mercedes safety car, they're like, oh, it's 10 seconds a lap quicker, and like, oh, I'd much rather have the Mercedes car as the safety car. Nah, not if I get to look at that thing. Oh, you're joking.
Did you see the livery they had?
That's what I'm talking about. The livery, like the livery in the car itself, like it just looks amazing.
The car is beautiful.
Yeah.
The livery.
Yeah. That belongs in S tier as well. That's so good. I prefer it to, like, I prefer the look of that over the Mercedes stuff. Personally.
Oh, I do. Even last year's one, I preferred it over
Yeah, absolutely. Although I do quite like I think that the Mercedes like safety car that they were using for the past few years is pretty iconic. Like I quite like it.
The
to be completely
AMG
honest with you.
GT, yeah.
Yes, the AMG GT. Yeah.
But
yeah, that's our livery stuff. But so obviously we've been watching testing. We haven't seen anything, outrageous. Nothing amazing happened, really, did it? Any notes from you from testing so far?
From testing, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a pecking order. I do think Red Bull are ahead, but I think the Ferrari and McLaren are close, and I think Aston and Mercedes are next, and then you've got the standard, mid to back of the grid teams. But
and then Haas.
It's testing. You just never know. Stake, Sauber, Team Kick could just come up and just destroy the entire field. I also like that the cars look physically different as well.
Yeah, they do. They like
the
from
Alpine's
each other.
got like a flatter nose, and you've seen the engine covers for like the Red Bull and the Ferrari look really different. So that's pretty cool as well. I like the fact that they're experimenting and changing designs, but we're not going to find out till next week, mate. Next Saturday.
No,
Friday and Saturday. Yeah,
you can see all of the teams trying desperately to figure out different advantages as and where they can find them to try and come back at Red Bull, which is also going to be interesting because apparently Red Bull are bringing a whole new spec car to Japan. Apparently, that's already a thing. Which is just ridiculous.
Do you want to talk about, because you mentioned this before the podcast, about Imola and the first round of upgrades?
Yes, yeah, actually. So part of testing obviously is working out exactly how these cars perform. Do they line up to where you expected them to perform in the wind tunnel? And then obviously all of the data from here goes into the wind tunnel data and goes back all the way to the factory, and that's essentially where they make tweaks and changes to certain parts in order to make them more efficient, or, well, they're never going to do it to make it less efficient on purpose, but where they change this stuff. And so essentially because of how important these tests and stuff are, and the first European race, all of the data will actually determine exactly how the upgrades happen in Imola. So because it takes that long to actually take all of this data in, process it, look at changes on like simulations, then build it properly at 60% in the wind tunnel, 60% scale in the wind tunnel, then double check that data correlates to the wind tunnel data, which correlates to the testing data that you took from Bahrain, and then you've got to make the actual pieces, and then just fingers crossed hope that it's actually going to work when you touch down in Imola. It's a huge process, which is incredibly interesting to myself. Obviously, I didn't do it as good as justice as Ted did from Sky Sports F1.
Hey, Ted's got like 20 years experience doing this.
True,
Right?
I've got
you just started.
Not even one.
Just started. Also, we're not in the Formula One paddock and how things work. So, but now that you're talking about it, did remind me, and thanks to Alison and Lynette, this is the first McLaren designed in the new wind tunnel.
It is.
So it'll be interesting to see what upgrades they bring over the season.
Yeah, I think that it would hopefully, because obviously they're now using all of their own equipment rather than borrowing somebody else's. So they were using the old Toyota wind tunnel from years ago. And so now obviously they have their own. It should hopefully, like, even simple stuff like literally taking these models downstairs rather than taking them like miles away in the back of a truck. Like, there's just so much less headache involved. So I think it's going to be a really good step forward for McLaren, and fingers crossed it means faster cars and more race wins.
More race wins?
Well, we had one in 2021. Don't you dare take that away from me.
I will, because that was the old spec car. I'm talking about new regulation cars.
Yeah, but it's fine. But I think that's actually like interesting. That could lead us into, you know, how Monza, there's always something ridiculous that happens.
Yeah.
Or typically something ridiculous that happens unless your name is Max Verstappen. Is that, you know, there's always some sort of ridiculous or outside winner at Monza, and because all of these cars are all developing in different sorts of ways and will have different advantages and disadvantages and blah, 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 it could make tracks like Monza and Budapest, where also there's unpredictability as well, quite interesting for this season as well. So, we'll obviously have to wait and see how these upgrades pan out and whether or not, you know, Alpine actually smash Max Verstappen into the ground after Bahrain or not. Probably not.
Can you stop giving yourself and the listeners hope and just say Max is going to win all 24 races this season?
I mean, Sergio, ironically, might be our only hope against Max Verstappen. But we'll have to wait and see. Carlos set the fastest time today. However, that was on the C4 tyre. And Max set the fastest time yesterday on the C3 tyre. And obviously, Max wasn't driving today, so we can't really judge, you know, too much, but obviously there's a whole another day of testing tomorrow where we will be able to gauge all of that. We also have Drive to Survive dropping tomorrow as well, so we will obviously be doing a full-on review of all of that.
Do you know what I like about testing is because it goes on for so long and it's essentially just cars running the programs. The commentators and
they have to fill time, don't they?
They have to fill time. But one thing I've seen is like just images come out and just people just speculating. So I think there was one of Toto talking to Sergio.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, could it be about the seat or could it be about this or that? And it's like, or they could just be saying hello to each other.
Yeah, it's been the summer break. These guys haven't seen each other in weeks. Like, they're just probably catching up saying hello.
And the other one was Carlos and Christian and Helmut Marko, I think. Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yeah, Carlos Sainz Senior. Yeah, he was getting a lot of like hate online for some reason. So for some reason, Sainz Jr. was getting a lot of hate because Carlos Sainz Senior was at Bahrain testing. I don't get what the problem is with his dad turning up.
His dad was at testing, probably there to support his son, talk to him, maybe pass on some knowledge.
His dad is also a racing driver and a very bloody good one.
A top fucking racing driver.
He just won Dakar, which I understand is not Formula One, but he just won the Dakar. So it makes sense for him to be there. I think it's just people being jealous that their fathers aren't famous and have the same name as them. So, you know.
My dad doesn't love me.
This is fatherless activities, honestly. But yeah, no, I didn't really enjoy that. That just seemed odd.
I just saw the picture and I was like, oh, they could be talking about possibility.
There was also the picture of a Red Bull team meeting, and obviously then it was like, oh, well, it's probably be telling them that Christian Horner's been fired, and it's probably actually just a mechanics debriefing.
No one knows what's going on apart from Red Bull. Or senior people at Red Bull, Christian Horner, and the person who's made the allegations.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
We just got to wait until all the information comes out. The right decisions have been made, and that's it. Simple as. If he stays, he stays. If he goes, he goes. We don't know until all the facts come out.
Exactly. Yeah. There's not a lot more we can do or say. But yeah, I guess that's probably about it, isn't it? There's not really too much else to discuss. We might have a little mini episode after day 3 of testing to talk about some different bits and pieces, like the technology or the actual. I say the technology that each of the teams and the upgrades and the changes that the teams are making. So winglets and double side pods and triple side pods and which don't exist, but you know what I mean. But other than that, I don't think we have anything else to say other than enjoy our livery rankings.
If you do want that technical fix, Sam Collins on the Formula One YouTube
is so great. Good.
He's great at explaining things and showing what's changed and what's different. So I think he coined the term rabbit ears for the 2 vents behind the new Red Bull.
Did. Yeah. So, I also I caught a clip of oh god, our favorite, definitely not favorite podcast, which is Pit Lane Boys. They were talking about
Pit Stop Boys.
Pit Stop Boys. That was it. Yeah, those people. And they're just like the way they described it, I was like, so stupid. Anyway, I want to end on that downer. Let's wrap this up. Thank you for everyone for listening. We will be back probably quite a bit over the race week. Over the next week. Yeah. Well, races are happening consistently.
Races are happening. We've got a few more guests lined up.
We do, yes. I need to chase some of those guests as well. And we will do our best to try and get Alison and Lynette of I Give an F1 back on here as well, because it's been a while.
It's been a while.
We also need to do our predictions as well for the season. We were waiting until after testing. We need to record that. So yeah, there'll be a lot of content coming from us as the season kicks off. So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Enjoy the rest of testing.
See you soon.